All right, so without wasting any more time, I would like to start. Okay, so today's session is going to be about resume building guidelines. Okay, I, Abid Khan, would be conducting this session, for which will run for about 45 minutes to an hour. Okay, where we'll see what exactly is the importance of resume, how a good resume can land you a good job, how the purpose of any resume is to first get you at least to a situation wherein you are invited for interview. Okay, you at least want yourself to be shortlisted so that your next step, getting invitation for the interview, should be done with your best resume possible. Okay, so today we'll see what exactly the resume is, what are the things that you should mention in a resume. Okay, what are the do's and what are the don'ts that you should keep in mind while building your resume or while creating your resume. Okay, so the first thing is who should attend this session. Okay, now let me tell you who should attend this session. Any graduate who's, let's say, in the final year of their graduate, undergraduate, or in the master degree. Okay, or if you are a fresh graduate, already graduated and looking for jobs, if you are an experienced consultant and also looking for job change. Okay, if some of you are, let's say, have already got the experience, being experienced consultant, you may also want to switch your job, change your job. That time also you need to have a resume that should at least give you a chance of having the interview in the company you are looking to get the job in. All right, so that is also, and anyone who is hungry to learn new skills. Okay, because this is also a skill. Building a proper resume is also a skill. Remember these. Okay, now if you are any of these, then this session is definitely for you. Okay, what is the importance of a good resume? Okay, what is the importance of a good resume? The importance of a good resume is it creates the first impression. Okay, you have not been interviewed yet. The first thing that a recruiter sees about you is your resume. So it creates a first impression. Okay, the line goes like, first impression is the last impression. That may not be true always, but first impression is always something that creates a picture of yours in the mind of recruiter or the interviewers. So having good resume creates already a better impression of yourself in the minds of recruiter and the interviewer. Okay, then it qualifies you for a good job. So job qualifications, if your resume is good, it tells the recruiter or the interviewer that you are a person who is well qualified for the job they have been posted on their, let's say, platforms or their websites. Okay, then the applicant screening. A good resume should pass this applicant screening. Do you know there is something called as ATS, applicant tracking software? You know that there is something called as applicant tracking software. What this software do is this software particularly tracks all the keywords required for a particular position to be found in the resume or not. Okay, let's say if you are applying for a Java developer. Okay, in the Java developer they are looking for few specialized skills like microservices and Hibernate and all. So this particular software, what it does, it tries to find the relevant words in the resume. Okay, so while preparing your resume, when you are applying for a particular position, you should make sure that you have few things mentioned about the required skills. Okay, if the job is posted for a Java developer and you are supposed to have few specialized skills in the Java, you should mention those skills as words in your resume, because this ATS software, what it does, if those words are not found, it will automatically filter out your resume. So that means your resume itself will not be shortlisted on the first hand. Okay, so when your resume is not shortlisted, obviously you don't have any further chance to get interviewed. Am I audible to all? Okay, so the next thing is a good resume can give you a chance of interview. So you will definitely get an interview invitation if your resume is shortlisted, right? Then a good resume definitely plays a tool of negotiation. Okay, do you understand this? So negotiation tool, when you are good in your particular skills and your resume has everything that you need, let's say that the company needs for a particular position, then your resume itself can play as a negotiation tool for you. Okay, based on your good resume, good skills, you can quote your expectation to the client or the company. Understood the importance of resume? Any questions so far? Yes, please. Yeah, we'll go through. We have some things like called as do's and don'ts. So in do's and don'ts, we'll see what should you do and what should you not. What should you include in the resume and what should you exclude. There are some common mistakes found by almost all the job applicants. Okay, like more than 50% of job applicants do these common mistakes. So we'll cover that as. Okay. Now, what exactly is a resume? Where this word come from? The resume word comes from French. It is called as to sum up. What does it mean? It means to sum up in a short, concise document used for job applications. Okay, this is a short, concise document used for job applications. It tells what? The resume tells candidates' qualifications and suitability for a particular job. Okay. So all your qualifications you will mention in your resume, and that can be treated as a check before you are invited for the interview. It highlights person's relevant skills and experience. So if you are applying, as I told you, like if you are applying for a sales position, if you are applying for a position wherein you should be having experience in sales field, so your CV should have details about the position you are applying for, such as if you are applying for sales position, sales manager. So your experience and your skill set should match the position. Okay, so highlights person's relevant skills and experience. The purpose, what is the purpose of resume? Before you build a resume, you should have one thing clear in your mind. What is that? You see, understand the practical problem. Okay, if you are applying for a position posted by a company on their platform, whether it be LinkedIn or whatever, Naukri.com or whatever it is, or their websites. So you are not the only one applying for that particular position, right? There are hundreds and thousands of students, or there are hundreds and thousands of consultants applying for the same position. So standing out of all those competitors, you would need something that is not common between all of them, all of the people applying for the same position. And your resume is the first impression, as we have seen. So this already creates your first impression in the minds of either recruiter or the interviewer. So when the recruiter finds your resume best suitable for the position, that is where you will be given the chance to get interviewed, right? So the purpose of any resume should be to get the attention of potential employer. Okay, this should be very much clear in your mind before you sit down for writing your resume or building your resume. Okay, and obviously the good resume should secure an interview for you, because the next step is, after your resume is shortlisted, the next thing should happen is your interview. Clear until here? Okay, now this is very important. A lot of the people, whether experienced or freshers, I won't mind, let's say, a lot of experienced consultants also do these mistakes. They do not include the things required and they exclude the things that are required. Okay, sometimes they include the things which are not required also. So what are the important things that you should mention in a resume? A resume is a formal document that provides a summary of a person's. There are 5 important things that you should mention in your resume. What is the first thing? The first thing is the contact info and objective statement. Now, what is contact info? When I say contact info, it doesn't mean your lane number, your house number, your exact colony where you reside. No, that doesn't mean a contact number. Contact info. Contact info, if you can note down, contact info only means your name, your mobile number and your email ID. That's all a contact detail would mean. If some of you have got, let's say, very good profile, LinkedIn profile, who's let's say quite matching with the resume you are sharing, then you can mention that LinkedIn profile link also. Other than that, you are not supposed to mention your house number, lane number, city, postal, this and that. That is not required actually. They are not sending you any postal, let's say postals, right? They want to have your interview scheduled. So the information that they would need is your contact number and email ID. That's all. Now next is objective statement. What is objective statement? Objective statement summarizes your profile or your resume in few lines. Okay, this can be called as summary of the CV. Objective statement. It should tell the consultant or the recruiter that how much experience have you got. Okay, so you'll say, if you are already experienced, you'll say I've got 3 years of experience in sales field as a manager. Okay, and your best suitable skills only you will mention in the objective statement. Okay, so what should be the content of objective statement? How much experience have you got in this field you are, let's say, applying for the job. If the position is for a developer, you will say I have got 4 years of experience as Java developer. Okay, I have got skills or I've got experience working in so and so. Okay, microservices, other things. That is your objective statement. Clear what should you have in contact info and objective statement. The next thing is skills. Okay, what should you have in your resume? Skills. But see, there's something written in the bracket, relevant skills. You're not supposed to mention skills which are not relevant for the position you're applying for. You may be applying for a developer position and you have skills which has got no relation with the position you're applying for. Then those skills should not be mentioned. They're not required actually. Recruiter or interviewer is not interested in those skills. Okay, next. What is next? Next is the work or professional experience. So if you're already an experienced consultant, you should mention your work experience. There is something called as chronological order of preparing your resume. Does anybody know this chronological order? What happens in this is, if you have got experience of 4 years and you have worked for 3 companies, the most recent project or most recent company experience will mention in the top. You will follow the top down approach, wherein the recent company will be mentioned at the top and subsequently the previous company is down. Okay, that is your work experience. So in work experience we will mention things like, for which company you work, the company name, the position you worked at. Let's say in the last company you worked in TCS, you worked as a Java developer, so you will mention client name or company name as TCS, role Java developer, and the duration of the project or the association with the company. So if you worked for TCS for only one project and the duration was from so and so date, so you will say duration from to date. Okay, and then you will list down your responsibilities and roles that you have carried out during that experience. Okay, the next thing is your achievements. Okay, so you may have achieved certain things while going through all of these experience, or even if you are a fresher, you must have achieved something in your academics. Something must have been achieved by you. Then those things can be mentioned under achievements column. Okay, achievements section. Then last but not the least, your educational background. Okay, you're not expected to mention, if you are going as experienced consultant, you're not expected to mention your let's say percentage of 10th, 12th, all right, 7th, what you have achieved in 7th grade, 10th grade, 12th grade. Only the latest degree, master. If you have done master degree, just mention master degree and your graduation degree and just the university if you want to mention. That's all. If you have got good grades, then you can mention grades. Otherwise you can safely just mention the degree name. For freshers, you can mention your graduation degree. Along with that, you can mention only your 12th experience, the latest. Okay, that's all you can do. So that is enough. So what are the things that you should mention in your CV? There are 5 important things: contact info and objective statement. I've told you what should you have in contact info and what should you have in objective statement. Then your skills relevant with the position you are applying for. Your work experience, try to follow chronological order while mentioning your work experience or professional experience. Then your list of achievements and your educational background. Clear? Yeah, go ahead please. Like ये क्या आपको ये 5 चीजों के अलावा और क्या लगता है कि डालना चाहिए सीवी में? ओके ठीक है, मैं आपको एग्जांपल लेता हूँ कि कॉन्टैक्ट इन्फो में बहुत सारे लोग क्या करते हैं. आई होप मोस्ट ऑफ यू मस्ट बी कंफर्टेबल विद हिंदी एज वेल, सो आई विल बी यूजिंग फ्यू हिंदी वर्ड्स हियर एंड देयर. तो कुछ लोग क्या करते हैं कि दे मेंशन देयर मैरिटल स्टेटस. दैट इज नॉट एट ऑल रिक्वायर्ड. दे मेंशन देयर बर्थ प्लेस. नॉट एट ऑल रिक्वायर्ड, राइट? व्हाई वुड अ रिक्रूटर एंड इंटरव्यूअर would go and see your birthplace? They're not interested in those things, right? If required by HR people or for other processes, they will definitely reach out to you via email. While let's say once you are selected, then they may reach to you for those details. Just understand the purpose of resume. What is the purpose of resume? To secure an interview, and to secure an interview you are not supposed to share your details which are not required. So do not mention unnecessary details in your CV or in your resume. Never. It just overburdens the recruiters or interviewer's job. They'll have to go through extra details. Okay? Not required at all. समझा अभी? हिंदी में हम हिंदी या उर्दू में हम लोग एक लाइन बोलते हैं, जो दिखता है वही बिकता है. So your resume should appeal the interviewer or recruiter. They should be, yeah. Somebody, if you're not asking a question, please go on mute unless you have a question. I hope everybody is clear about these 5 things: contact info, objective statement, skills, work or professional experience, your achievements, and your educational background. So these are the 5 important things that you should have, that all of you should have in your CV or resume. Okay, now yes please, any question from here? Yes please. Very good question. See, this is what the question can be. So like, if you are a fresher, you must have done something as a mini project or internship in your academics, right? It's a mini project. Like if you are in the final year, they'll ask you for internship things, and you must have done some mini project kind of things. So that thing you can mention in your experience, right? It will not be called as work experience, but it can be called as relevant experience. Okay, so if you have developed something in Java and you are applying for a Java developer, that can be treated as your relevant experience. समझा अभी? Freshers के लिए you are supposed to mention the academic projects. और achievements में भी freshers के लिए क्या होता है? Freshers के लिए you can mention the things you have achieved in your academics, like you must have taken some participated in the competitions, like national competitions, international, let's say state competitions, district competitions. Relevant. Okay, you should not mention that you won a district level carom championship and you are applying for a Java developer. So that is not justify any good skill in your, let's say, position. अगर आपने कुछ ऐसा किया है कि लेकिन आप जावा डेवलपर के लिए जा रहे हो, बट देयर वाज अ कोडिंग कंपटीशन एंड यू वन, एटलीस्ट यू पार्टिसिपेटेड इन दैट, व्हाटएवर इट इज, तो वो आप मेंशन कर सकते हो इन द अचीवमेंट्स. ठीक है? यस प्लीज. We'll see that. Those are called as hobbies. They are not achievements, right? They are hobbies. So when should you, correct. वो आप मेंशन कर सकते हो. सॉफ्ट स्किल्स मेंशन कर सकते हो आप, कम्युनिकेशन स्किल्स, योर क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग, ओके, मल्टीटास्किंग. ऑल दीज आर not relevant to the position, but they are still the skills, common skills. As a fresher, you can definitely mention them. Hobbies, we'll see. Okay, hobbies for experience and for freshers, they are like two different aspects. So we'll see that on that as well. Yes please. Though it will not carry a weightage, but somehow you'll have to mention achievements, right? Or your work experience or professional experience. So you can mention that, and while giving the interview, if you are shortlisted and while you are giving the interview, you can at least mention that you learned the things. See, you may not have learned IT things, but you must have learned team building activities, right? How to work in a team, how to take the responsibilities. All these are also learning, right? These are also professional kind of relevant experience. So things like that at least you can mention in the interview, that you may not have learned IT skills while working in the mechanical project, but you definitely learned team building sikha or coordination sikha, right? How to work in a team. So these things you can mention. Clear until here? Okay, now some of you have asked the questions. Let us see what are the do's while writing a resume. So what are the things that you are expected to mention? Okay, so the very first thing is keep your resume clear and concise. Okay, do not complicate your resume. Do not, keep it clear and concise. As see, resume is not something that the person will go, if you are writing a resume of 10 pages, 12 pages, mentioning every minor things you have done in your experience or in your academics, nobody will go through all of those things. So keep it clear and concise. Okay, that is the first thing as a do you should remember. You must mention your name and job title in the header. Okay, the very first, in the very bold lines. I'll give you in the end. I will show you how a sample of resume. Okay, we'll discuss a sample in the end of the session, where I'll explain you how to feel. Let's see what are the do's. Whatever do's we'll discuss and whatever don'ts we'll discuss, we'll try to cover up those things in the CV. Okay, in the end of the session. Okay, so feature your name and job title in the header. So at the top of your CV you should mention your name in the bold, and below that you should write, let's say if you are applying for a sales manager, you'll write your name whatever it is, and then under that you'll say sales manager, and then you will have objective line where you'll mention your experience and your relevant skills. Okay, and the very first, this is very important guys, this is very very important. As a fresher or as even experienced consultant, a lot of people, they do not keep this point in mind while writing a resume. You must be honest while preparing your CV or while preparing your resume. Do not mention things which you have not done in your experience or in your academics. It may gain good points for you mentioning, let's say, big things which you may not have done, but it may backfire you. If the interviewer tries to dig you on those things, you will definitely lose a chance of getting selected. So do not mention unnecessary things which are not done by you. So you must remember that while completing your resume, you must be honest. Okay, that is the first thing. And being honest, remember that being honest, not just in writing resume, being honest always gives you a different kind of booster, kind of confidence. So when you mention everything you have done in your experience and everything in your academics, you'll be more confident. And remember one thing, I'll be having let's say another session, okay, where I'll explain you how to face the interview. Okay, in the end of this session I'll explain you how to connect for that session as well. So remember that as an interviewer, I have conducted a lot of interviews. So the first thing any interviewer sees is not how you kind of let's say respond to the question, but how confident are you about your things. Let's say while explaining something, your confidence is more important rather than your words. Okay, so that is, remember that always. And that confidence comes when you are honest. Okay, yeah, this I've already explained you. Reverse chronological order for experience. So always mention your recent experience as in the top, and then go with the previous one in the reverse order. Okay, this is a common mistake. A lot of experienced even consultants, they go like the very old project. If the consultant is 10-year experience consultant, he mentioned his 10-year old experience as the first point. Interviewer wants to see what have you done recently, or the recruiter wants to see what are you doing in the recent projects. They are not interested in what you have done. They may not be much interested in what you have done 10 years back. Okay, so always follow this. Follow the reverse chronological order for explaining your experience. Then highlight your accomplishments. जो भी आपने अच्छा काम किया या अच्छा कुछ लर्निंग रहा आपका, हाईलाइट दैट, उसको बोल्ड में लिखो. ठीक है, मेक सम लाइक कोट्स में लिखो एटलीस्ट. सो हाईलाइट योर अकम्प्लिशमेंट्स. Okay, you must have accomplished something in your experience or in academics, so highlight those things. Those things should catch the attention of the recruiter or interviewer. Okay, So highlight your accomplishments. That is the next thing. Remember this thing always. There's a viral video going on these days. You must some of you must have seen this. Do not use same resume for all the job applications. Okay, always tailor your resume to suit the position you are applying for. What does it mean? इसका मतलब कि जो पोजीशन के लिए आप अप्लाई कर रहे हो उस पोजीशन के हिसाब से आपके सीवी में या रिज्यूम में चेंजेस करो. आपको जैसे लेट्स से देयर इज अ जॉब पोजीशन ऑफ जावा सीनियर डेवलपर और जावा आर्किटेक्ट. ठीक है, अभी जावा आर्किटेक्ट का और जावा डेवलपर का सीवी सेम, आप दोनों जगह सेम सीवी अप्लाई मत करो. Tailor the resume so that it suits the position you are applying for. Always remember this. This is the common mistake, like most common mistake, one of the most common mistakes even experienced consultant do. They kind of use same resume for all the job applications. You may not be creating, let's say, multiple copies of every time your CV to apply for a job, but at least for different positions you should have different tailored resumes. समझ रहे हैं आप लोगों को? What do you mean by tailored resume? टेलर रिज्यूमे मीन्स अपने जॉब के हिसाब से जिस पोजीशन के लिए आप अप्लाई कर रहे हो, अकॉर्डिंग टू दैट पोजीशन यू शुड मेक द चेंजेस, मेक इट कस्टमाइज्ड. ओके, गिव एग्जैक्ट डिटेल्स अबाउट योर अचीवमेंट्स. समटाइम्स यू जस्ट मेंशन आई वॉन द डिस्ट्रिक्ट लेवल कॉम्पिटिशन. ऑफ व्हाट, when was it conducted, who conducted it, all of these things you have to mention, otherwise it will look like you are faking it. So do not make an impression in the minds of interviewer that the things that you are mentioning under achievements, they are not real. So if you mention the exact details of the achievements, then interviewer will have a confidence over your mention the things. Okay, so mention the details also about your achievements. Then clear with those things? Any question until here? All these things are clear? Keep your resume clear and concise. Feature your name. Be honest. Follow the reverse order of mentioning your experience. Highlight your accomplishments. Change karo resume every time you apply for the next position, and give the exact details about the achievements. Okay. Now, what is next? Mention the internships or unpaid relevant work done. Somebody has asked this question. So if you are a fresher, you must have done some internships, right? फाइनल ईयर में आप लोग को इंटर्नशिप्स करना पड़ता है. यू मे हैव टू गो एंड विजिट सम कंपनीज और some firms to produce a document that you have done internship of 6 months, 3 months, whatever it is. So you can mention the things you have learned in your internships also. Or some consultants, they work unpaid. Okay, unpaid relevant work also can be mentioned. So if you work for a company or for an institute or for somebody who is experienced, you were working as a shadow consultant, मतलब आप उसके सीनियर के साथ बैठकर कुछ काम कर रहे थे and you learned few things, that thing also can be mentioned if you are preparing resume for a fresher. Okay, this internships and unpaid relevant work done should not be mentioned by experienced consultant. They already know it. They should not mention this. Clear? Mention. Include right resume keywords to pass the ATS. This is what I was talking about. ATS. Okay, what is this ATS? It is a software used by MNCs. Applicant tracking system. What does it do? The software automatically selects or rejects the CVs. Okay, it has few algorithms built. What does it do? It will ease the job of recruiters. Just imagine one recruiter who has posted the job position and he has got 200 applications and he has to shortlist the CVs and give the shortlisted CVs to the interview panel by tomorrow. Can you imagine? He'll have only hardly 30 seconds or 20 seconds to glance through a CV. So one person's CV should be completed within 30 seconds, right? So you'll have to be very much sure about the things you are writing in your CV or your resume. So this applicant tracking system software does what? It filters the CVs which are not having the keywords which are required for the position. क्या होता है, कोई भी जॉब जब पोस्ट करता है ना कंपनी, तो उसका जॉब डिस्क्रिप्शन होता है, करेक्ट? इन द जॉब डिस्क्रिप्शन दिल हैव द पर्सन शुड हैव 3.5 years of experience at least. ठीक है. Next is they should have these 3 skills. Okay, and few other things. अभी ATS में क्या करेंगे ये लोग, ATS they'll mention the settings that the experience should be 3.5 or greater and these three things are mandatory. अगर आपके CV में these things are not mentioned, then your CV is rejected by the software itself. It has eased the job of a recruiter. Recruiter doesn't have to. Now out of those 200 applications, the software has already rejected, let's say 130 applications. Now the recruiter has to go through only 70 applications. So the work has been divided into three parts. 30%, more than 60% of the work is done by the software itself. So always remember, why should you tailor your resume for every application? You must have few words mentioned in the job description in your CV, so that when the software checks your CV, it should pass your CV. This is very important, very important. Not even experienced consultant know this. Okay, our team of recruiters, they always kind of do these things. They'll just use they'll search for the keywords we are applying, let's say the position in the job description, and if those keywords are not found, the CV is automatically rejected. You're not getting any chance to get interviewed. You may be having very good communication skills, very good confidence, very good experience, but if you have not mentioned the things required for the position, you have not cleared the first step, and if you have not cleared the first step, you will not be given chance to prove yourself. Means you will not be given a chance to get interviewed. Now remember this thing as well. Limit your resume to minimum possible pages. Do not create resume of, let's say, 8 pages, 10 pages, 12 pages, unless you have experience of 20-25 years. Okay, so limit your, there's no like kind of rule that you should have only 1 page or 2 page or 3 page, but keep it as minimum as possible. Okay, 1 to 2 to maximum 3 pages is sufficient. For freshers, maximum 1 to 2. For experience, maximum 1, 2 or required than 3. Okay, so limit your resume to minimum possible pages. Use professional file name. All right, this is very important, guys. This is very common mistake also. A lot of times what we do is we create a Word document, and by default it takes the name as document 1. So we save the document name with the same one, with the same document 1, and we kind of share the same resume. We'll attach the same thing in the email and we'll send it to the recruiter. That creates a very bad impression of yours on the recruiter site. That tells that you don't even know how to name a file. So give a professional file name. If you are applying for a Java developer, write it like that. Okay, Java_developer, like say 4.5. Then the recruiter will have let's say at least basic understanding that this particular resume is for Java developer position and the candidate has got at least 4.5 years of experience. Okay, so think from the perspective of recruiter also. One recruiter is not there for one position only. Okay, the recruiter will have let's say he or she may have posted 5 different jobs, and you are sending your resume over the email saying please find my attached. That is also I'll come to that email body also. But for the file name, if you just mention document 1 or resume, very general, resume 1, resume 2, like kind of these things mentioned by the people, we have seen this. Okay, very common mistake. Always give a professional name to the file. Remember this. Next, proofread your resume. Check with experience once. This is very important step. Before you share your resume, read it twice. If you have experienced persons or experienced people in your contact, then get it reviewed by them. Because if I tell you the statistics, Career Builder couple of years back, they kind of conducted some survey, and in the survey they found more than 50% of the CVs shared by fresher or experienced consultant having typo mistakes, and that creates a very bad impression. That tells the interviewer or recruiter how much serious are you about your own job. If you are not able to write your resume without spelling mistakes, how are you expecting to work in an IT company or in any good company? Not just IT, whether you are working in IT company or any other company, you should at least have these basic skills. So proofread your resume, check it twice. Do not make silly mistakes, do not make typo mistakes, do not mention the things that doesn't suit your experience. I'll come to that point as well. Okay, so always proofread your resume. Proofread means आपने resume बना लिए, उसके बाद आपको उसको एक बार फिर से start to end पढ़ना है, ठीक है। और अगर आपके पास कोई experience है बंदा same field का, so get it reviewed by him or her. That will always be better for you, because the person who has experience working in the same field, they will tell you what should you mention and what should you not. अगर आप किसी का CV कॉपी कर रहे हो ना, तो वो बोल देगा कि like you are going as a 2-year experience consultant, you should not have mentioned these things. This should be, you will never get a chance to work on something like this. उससे क्या होगा, इंटरव्यूअर को कॉन्फिडेंस नहीं आएगा आप पे, वो he will understand, he or she will understand that you know you have copied it from somewhere. आप बता रहे हो 2 साल का एक्सपीरियंस और आप रोल और रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज में लिख रहे हो टास्क जो 5 साल से कम वाले बंदे को करवाने की देते ही नहीं. How will that match your skills and experience? Okay, so always if you have some experienced consultant of the same field, get it reviewed by them. Proofread is one thing and then get it reviewed. Do not share a Word document as your resume. This is also a common mistake. Always share a PDF file. I have received, let's say our team of recruiters, they receive today also like 5-year experience consultant, they are sharing their resume with the name resume1 or CV1 and in the Word format. That is very unprofessional. That is very unprofessional. Always share the resume in PDF format. Save this. Nowadays, let's say you can, Word document itself can be saved as a PDF file, right? So save it as PDF, give a professional name and then share it. Any questions so far, guys? Yes, please. Okay, so like when you are switching, so you have already got the experience, right? So like resume preparation for fresher and experience is quite let's say it's quite same, it's quite similar. The only difference, like very few differences are, freshers will have different things mentioned in their experience and achievements. Otherwise your education, skills and your objective statement, contact details, all will be same. For experienced consultant, you are expected to mention your work experience, your roles and responsibilities. Let's say if you have worked for 2 different companies in your career, so you will mention those 2 companies and what was the role you have had in those 2 companies and what was the duration, what kind of role and responsibilities you played. I will come to that. Okay, well in the end we'll see the resume where I'll explain you the differences between a fresher's resume and the experienced consultant's resume. Okay, the next thing is you must mention the details of job application in the email body. Many times you are sending an email. If you are sending an email, okay, just do not say attach a file and just do not say please find attachment. Some people don't even write please find attachment, they'll just say PFA. Okay, so you should have things mentioned in your email body at least. Write few lines, take an effort. Okay, take some effort to write few lines about your job application. Say you are looking for this position, your experience is this much and your skills are these. At least few lines, okay, in the email body. Then if possible include a cover letter. Okay, a cover letter tells what? A cover letter tells why are you a good candidate for the position. So this cover letter should tell the details, only the details which makes you best suitable person or consultant for the position. Okay, cover letter will not be same for all the, okay, every time you are applying for a position you will have to have a different cover letter, okay, depending upon the position you are applying for. Clear until here? Okay, now next is what are the don'ts. So what should you not do in your resume? Do not write the details in paragraphs like paras. Don't start with a line and then continue with 4 or 5 lines. Don't write like paras in your CV. None of your details should go as a para. Okay. Don't use typical fonts. sometimes you use let's say different fonts which are difficult to read actually. So make font in a way that it is easy to read. Don't overcomplicate the fonts, okay? And do not use multiple fonts also. Try to use as minimum as possible, like 2 or 3 fonts only. One for your headings and one for your, let's say, sub items, like that only. 1 or 2 or 3 maximum. Do not mention unnecessary personal information. I've already told you, right? Your marital status not required, your birthplace is not required. All these things are unnecessary personal information. Okay, so don't mention those things. What is next? Don't use unprofessional email addresses. This is also one of the common mistakes. As a developer, or let's say as academic students, we must have created few, let's say, email IDs. ठीक है, academics में हम लोग email IDs create करते हैं, right? Like rockstarrahul@gmail.com, princesspriya@gmail.com, or ymail.com. So don't use these email IDs to send your resume, and do not mention such emails in your resume also. It doesn't look good. So always use professional email addresses. That should tell, like, your email addresses should have your name initials or your position. Okay, don't make general statements in your CV. Don't make general statements like, if you have worked as a sales manager, do not say I carried out sales activities and so location. That is expected, right? So don't make general statements in your CV. Try to be more specific about the activities and role and responsibilities you have carried out in your experience, or even in your academics. Don't just list the responsibilities. You'll have to sometimes explain the responsibilities also. Okay, so don't just list out, like, you carried out these, that. In academics also, don't mention that you did a mini project wherein you developed a website. That's all. That is not expected, right? So if you have carried out responsibility, if you have been responsible for particular task in your mini project, even you can mention that. Okay, what did you do as a individual, as a team member? Don't include anything confidential. This is more precisely for experienced consultant. Like, this is also one of the common mistakes experienced consultant do. So you're not expected to mention confidential details from your previous companies. Okay, do not do this mistake, because if the interviewer is intellectual, then he or she will understand that if you can mention the confidential detail of previous companies, then if you change their company, you will definitely mention confidential detail of their company as well. So don't do that mistake. Don't include anything confidential from last companies. Don't include hobbies or interests unless relevant. This is what the question asked by somebody, right? So if your hobbies and interests are not relevant with the position, okay, you better not mention them. There is no harm if you are applying as a fresher. There is no harm in mentioning. But if you are experienced consultant, unless they are relevant, they will not carry much weightage. Okay, clear until here? Okay. Don't include high school details unless you are going for a fresher, as a fresher. So if you are a fresher also, then don't mention anything like you are from 7th standard, 6th standard, what you have achieved in your 6th standard. You may have won painting competition in your 5th standard, or in your 10th standard or 9th standard. Don't mention those things. They're not required. Okay, so don't include high school details. Don't include skills which are obsolete. So you may have, let's say, as an experienced consultant, if you have got 10 years of experience, people mention things which are obsolete already. They're not used anymore by people. So don't mention those things. Obsolete means जो आजकल यूज में नहीं आ रहे, ठीक है, वो वाले skills mention करने का कोई फायदा नहीं. Don't include those skills. Don't include obvious skills. Obvious skills means, let's say आप IT में job के लिए apply कर रहे हो, and you are writing that you are good in creating Microsoft Word, you can work with Microsoft Office, you can create good PPTs. That is obvious. You are going as a software, you are going in an IT company and applying for a software position, software consultant position. That is an obvious skill. You must be able to create PPTs, you must be able to work with Word or Excel. So do not include those obvious skills in your CV. If you are going as a sales manager, don't do that you know how to sell a product. Don't mention that. You are already applying for a sales position and you are expected to have that skill. So that is an obvious skill, right? So don't mention that. Don't include work with controversial organization. This is for experienced consultants. So sometimes what happens is people work for internships or some other things for an organization which is controversial, blacklisted, or having some government regulations imposed. So do not mention those things in your CV. Try to avoid those things as well. Don't include reason for leaving last job. Okay, if you are going switching a job, if you are changing a job, never mention the reason why you left your last job. Never ever. Don't include expected pay. Okay, if you are expecting good amount from, let's say, the interviewer, unless you have given the chance to interview and you have proved yourself, you should not mention your expected pay in the resume itself. Clear until here? Anyone has got any question? No? All right. So this makes the session complete. If any one of you has got any question from start to end, you can go ahead. After this, I'll just quickly go through the CV sample and I'll tell you what to do about this. Any question from anyone? Be honest. That is the second point. Why are you changing the job? You know it already, right? So I cannot tell you what is the reason of your changing your job. See, it may be you are not liking the position you have been offered. Okay, you didn't know. आपने जब ज्वाइन किया आपको पता नहीं था कि पोजीशन में ऐसे काम है, उस तरह का काम है. Then after you join, then you realize this is not something you were looking for. So now you want a change. एक ये रीज़न हो सकता है, या आपका रीज़न हो सकता है कि आप जो जॉब कर रहे हो उसमें आपको उतना स्किल्स, नए स्किल्स सीखने को नहीं मिल रहा है. यू आर स्टिल वर्किंग ऑन द ओल्ड टेक्नोलॉजीज, सो यू वांट टू वर्क ऑन समथिंग न्यू, समथिंग एक्साइटिंग. So that is the safe answer. I was always looking for something exciting or new technologies to work on, and that's how I thought of changing my job. ये हो सकता है. या ऑब्वियसली आपका पे एक्सपीरियंस ज़्यादा है, सैलरी कम मिल रहा है, मार्केट वैल्यू आपका ज़्यादा है, बट बिकॉज यू ज्वाइन on a low pay scale, you are still continuing on the low pay scale only, and that is one of the reasons you are going for a change. वो भी आप मेंशन कर सकते हो. What kind of hobbies आपकी पोजीशन के लिए, आप जिस पोजीशन के लिए, if you are going for what position are you looking for? Let's say आपका क्या बैकग्राउंड है और आप किस पोजीशन के लिए अप्लाई करना चाह रहे हो? जावा डेवलपर, राइट? सो यू कैन मेंशन कि आपको जो है तो कोडिंग कॉम्पिटिशन्स और आपको लॉजिकल बुक्स रीड करना, डॉक्यूमेंट्रीज देखना, ऐसे कुछ मेंशन कर सकते हो. ठीक है, यू कैन मेंशन फ्यू. That you see, keep few things open to be answered in the interview also. That is also one of the trick actually. You should not mention everything in your CV or resume. Keep few things open that you can answer in the during the interview actually. Things like these you should mention in your interview, not in the resume. Yes, one page is enough. If you are having everything mentioned in one page, that is enough. So 5 point, like the first 5 points we have discussed, if you are able to cover all those 5 points in single page, that is more than enough. Yes, आप वो कौन सी फील्ड से हो लास्ट अभी, मतलब? वो डिपेंड करता है एक्चुअली. आई हैव अ सेशन, लेट्स से आई हैव अ सेशन ऑन next pre session is about interview. The question you are asking is about interview, right? Here we are discussing about resume. So we have a session on that, how to appear in the interview and how to answer the questions in the interview, most commonly asked questions in the interview. We'll have an experience session on that. So for that, all of you, if you want to be in the touch, just keep these details saved. Okay, this is my LinkedIn profile. You can, yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. हाँ बिल्कुल, definitely, definitely. Okay, so before, let's say, I'll still continue with the resume, let's say sample resume, but you can follow me on LinkedIn. Here is my LinkedIn link, and you can message over this WhatsApp number, so that you will be, if next, for all the next free sessions or other job related or trading related updates you will get. Okay, you will be asked to join few social media platforms, then you will get all those details there. So all of you, please note down this number and give a message on this number, and you will get the details about the next session also. Done? Guys, all of you must have a LinkedIn profile. Okay, remember that. Nowadays, if you are applying for a position, recruiters go and verify your LinkedIn profile also. If you are mentioning you have got 4 years of experience and your LinkedIn says you joined last year only in a company and you were fresher before that, that should not happen. So keep your CV and LinkedIn profile in resemblance. Don't make your interviewer ask you questions of doubt. Okay, they should not be in doubt that your resume and your LinkedIn profile, they're not in sync. You're trying to fake something. Don't do that. So keep your LinkedIn profile always updated. If you have not created yet, create the LinkedIn profile today itself. Any question? Any other question from anyone? करेक्ट. वो क्या होता है, लेट्स से आई विल गिव यू एन एग्जांपल. जैसे मैंने एग्जांपल दिया आपको, इफ यू आर गोइंग फॉर अ जावा डेवलपर पोजीशन, दैट रिक्वायर्स few different set of skills. If you are going for a Java architect, though it is a job of like kind of higher role about in the same field, but it kind of requires few extra skills. You have to have those skills mentioned in your CV, updated CV. अगर आप जावा डेवलपर के लिए भी वही सीवी से अप्लाई कर रहे हो जो जावा आर्किटेक्ट के लिए कर रहे हो, या अगर आप कोई और फील्ड में, या कोई एडमिन रोल के लिए अलग होता है सेम फील्ड में और डेवलपर रोल के लिए अलग होता है. इफ यू आर अप्लाइंग फॉर डिफरेंट रोल्स, यू शुड हैव एटलीस्ट रेलेवेंट स्किल्स मेंशन्ड. ठीक है, अगर आपने एक ऐसा जनरलाइज सीवी बना लिया कि वो किसी भी पोजीशन के लिए चल सकता है, देन दैट इज फाइन. इफ यू आर हैविंग कीवर्ड्स, और ऑलवेज गो विद द जॉब डिस्क्रिप्शन. The best thing is read the job description and just try to match your CV. Just see if your CV is applicable for that particular job description or not. अगर आपका CV है, so without making any change also you can apply. It is not always required to go for a change. The change is required only when you have not you do not have skills or your experience relevant to the position. Any other question from anyone? No? Now let us see a resume, right? Now this is kind of a sample resume. Okay, for experience and for fresher, both can use this format kind of thing. So see, something like this you'll have to mention in the top, bold letter, simple font, name, your own name, then your title, job title. Okay, here you can mention your contact details, not necessarily here. You can have your main name mentioned here in the center, and here you can mention your email, here you can mention your mobile number. Not necessarily you'll have to follow this. You'll have to follow the rules, like you'll have to have your name written in bold in the top, your job title, the contact details. What are the contact details? Mobile number and email. That is enough. And I've already given you the do's and don'ts about email. Don't use unprofessional emails, right? Then this is the line, career objective line. This tells you the number of years of experience the person has and the relevant skills. See, he has mentioned I have these many number of years of experience in the field, and then I have these many skills relevant to the position. Then you can mention your professional profile summary. So this will tell the skills, relevant skills in more detail. This is summary. Reading these 4 lines, the recruiter should have an idea that the person is or the candidate is relevant and the candidate should be shortlisted in reading this 4 line itself. Okay, so these 4 lines are very important. Then it will tell, this particular section will tell the more detail about your skills, relevant skills. Then you can mention your education details. So for experienced consultant, they can have their education details mentioned in the end also, not necessarily here. Okay, for freshers, you can mention in the top. So remember that while going from top to bottom, you should always mention more important things in the top. For experienced people, education details are not as important as their skills and experience. For freshers, this is important. So you can shift the things up and down depending upon your level of experience. Okay, so what should you mention in your education details? Your graduation and your stream. Let's say if you have done BCA, if you have done engineering, you can say BE. Then you can say whatever, let's say stream you had, ENTC, mechanical, computer science, CSE, whatever it is, IT. So you can mention that, and the pass out year. If you want, you can mention the university also, or if you have got good grades, you can mention those grades. So don't make too many lines here, and do not write the details in the paras. As I told you, write in the bullets. See here, only 3 lines, and then if he had to write, he took another line like that. Okay, always use the bullet points to mention your things, numberings or bullets, whatever it is. Okay, now how should you mention your experience, your work experience? If for this is for experienced consultant, for freshers, they can mention the relevant experience. Instead of work experience, they'll say relevant experience. Okay, and in the relevant experience, they'll mention their academic project details like mini-cap project or the internship they have done, and what are the learnings from that. Now this should always have what? Work experience should always have reverse chronological order. So wherein you will mention the recent one at the top. So you will have your project name mentioned here. You'll just say the company name or client name. Let them say the company, whatever the company name is, you'll mention the company name. You will mention the role you played in that company. Okay, what was the role? Let's say you played the role of a Java developer. Then you'll have to mention the duration. So in the duration, you will say start date and end date. Then your project description, give 1 and 2 lines of description about your project. Let's say if you have those details mentioned in 1 and 2 lines, then you'll have to mention the roles and responsibilities in the bullets. Okay, you implemented these, you developed a particular solution, you created some programs, you implemented some solutions, whatever it is, you will mention here in your roles and responsibilities during this duration for this role. And prior to that, let's say if you worked for XYZ company and there you were associate Java developer, so you will mention your role, you will mention start date, end date, and then the detail about the previous project, and same thing, roles and responsibilities. That is what it will go for the number of companies the person has worked. Understood, everyone? Yes? Good. So if you have questions, you can go ahead. Otherwise, you have this number. We are planning to have a session, okay, on how to appear for an interview and how to answer for the most commonly asked questions in the interview. Okay, that will also be a free session. Okay, the schedule for that particular session can be found on our social media platform. So do not forget to message this number. Okay, this number you will get the details and updates about jobs and other training requirements as well, other training details as well. And if you want to follow me on the LinkedIn, is a LinkedIn link for my profile.